to your favorite typical Thursday night tradition, but your Tuesday night tradition, at least this week. This is the Power Pod, and I'm your buddy, Jared Yamamoto, and thanks for taking your Tuesday night to spend it with us. Over here next to me, I guess, adjusting her pink headphones. That's my buddy, Randio.
Hello, world. How's everyone doing on this terrific Tuesday? I hope amazing.
She didn't even know how to work her camera a second ago, so I'm glad that she's able to speak into the microphone appropriately there. We heard a lot about our buddy, Randio, in the first hour of the show. Over to Randio's left, that's my wife.
Hello.
And also co-host here on the show. My wife. That would be
very nice.
Tina Yamamoto.
That's me.
And over to Tina's
Sorry,
left.
that was awkward.
Now you're like, huh? Over to Tina's left. That is my buddy Mike B over there, making sure he's holding things down over the court. He's texting something right now. He's probably maybe he's sharing out to all his peeps on his pages out there.
I am working on the historic Mackie Smith Elders Day that we're going to do this year.
Oh,
So
tell the
putting in
people.
some work.
very cool.
Gorgeous.
Look at that. Double duty over there.
Always work.
And then, of course, flying the ship, making sure that our voice gets to you effectively. That's none other than George Clark.
That's right, people.
Holding it down. And what we're going to do again tonight is we're going to tape a couple of segments for our Athens radio show, the Power Pod. This will air this Sunday. It's way in advance. So this will be this Sunday from 10 to noon, 98.7 FM and AM 1340 WGAU. You guys can interact with us throughout the show. I see the Georges. Look at that, George. You know, what a pro. He already opened the comment box right there. You guys can comment along with us. I'm actually going to open up my own tab so I can see what you guys are saying, and I can interact with you guys throughout the show. If you say something super interesting and relevant to the topic that one of these wonderful members of the Power Pod have brought up, then we will make it a point to bring it up throughout the show. If it is mean or irrelevant, but perhaps funny, then we'll bring it up too. But it has to be funny. That's the key word. It has to be funny, and it has to be relevant to what we're talking about. So I believe, George Clark, I've hit all of the housekeeping there.
Let's do it.
You ready to start it up?
I'm ready.
All right, we'll start up. What segment number is this going to be?
834.
830. Wow, we've done a lot of segments here on the Power Pod. All right, buddy, you start segment 834 on your mark.
3, 2, 1. Welcome, Athens, Georgia, to the second hour of today's edition of the Power Pod. We've got Jared Yamamoto. We've got Randio. No Nicole Bennett this week, but we do have Christina Yamamoto. Do I need to go back?
Yeah, it might be too. See,
I was going to get to him.
See, but
do I skip Nicole?
Well, Nicole is going to join us later on in the show.
Okay, so I will include her.
Yes.
People, focus. 3, 2, 1. Welcome, Athens, Georgia, to the second hour of today's edition of the Power Pod. We've got Jared Yamamoto, we've got Randio, we've got Nicole Bennett, Christina Yamamoto, Mike B, and myself, George Clark, as we give you all the stories from this past week with our host, Jared Yamamoto.
Yes, and there's so much that we didn't get to in the first hour. I realized that we spent the majority of the hour talking about spring break and springing forward because we sprang forward today, and it's it's beautiful. I love feeling this. I feel like this is the unofficial start of spring, by the way. When the clocks change, you lose the hour of sleep. It just feels good. It feels right. And in Georgia, all the seasons come, well, aside from winter, they all come a little bit earlier. And so I'm ready to say, bye-bye, winter. Bye-bye. Spring is here. So I know that even though technically spring doesn't start for a couple more weeks, we here on the Power Pod are saying that this is the beginning of spring. Thanks to daylight saving time. Thank you to everybody for making sure that they follow that procedure as well. Now, since we didn't get to a lot of the stories, Randy, you got a pile of stories over there. Tina has a bunch of stories. Mike B's got a bunch of stories we didn't get to. George Clark even has stories as well, too. And Nicole Bennett is going to join us all the way from Germany later on in the show. So I believe, Randy, why don't you start us off with your story over there?
I gotcha. So let me just give you guys a warning. This is maybe kind of like uncomfortable to hear this story I'm going to share, but I just want to give you that preface before I start. Yes.
Well, the important thing is for the audience. You don't have to give it to me over here. I can handle
just
a
because
lot.
I'm looking at you doesn't mean I'm
You're speaking to the audience, right?
Calm down, Randy.
You're speaking to all of the
We're springing
WGAU
forward.
faithful out there. I get it.
Okay, I had to woosah because I was about to charge you up. But yes, I'm speaking to all of our listeners. So I want to talk about this situation that happened at a school
Okay.
in Oklahoma, where unfortunately this fundraiser has sparked a really big controversy where their students were licking peanut butter off the toes of other students.
Lock them up.
What? Yes.
Wait a second. Hold on. This can't be real. Okay. So
Yes.
what was the fundraiser for? Like, why would you have kids get peanut butter off?
Yes,
I
there-
shouldn't laugh, because it is terrible. It is a form of child abuse here, and I am excited to hear what Mike B's take is going to be on this, just because of the education world here. Maybe there's some kind of Flag Day event or something like that where you would go that direction. But again, it sounds very, very far-fetched and very weird now. So what's the setup here?
Yeah, so it is a fundraiser, right? It's called Not Your Average Joe Coffee, and it's a restaurant chain, and they work with students and adults with intellectual, developmental, and physical disabilities. So, they said all the kids volunteered. They knew what it was. They were excited. They signed up for it. So they're not thinking anything is wrong. And they actually raised over $150,000.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad they raised a ton of money here, but it seems like it's a little effed up what they did in order to get the money to provide for these kids here. Now, Mike B, you've had kids of all different ages and what you do primarily. I know that Flag Day can get a little bit weird sometimes with some of the games. You have I don't know if people still do the sock, or what is it? What's the race where
Three-legged race?
The three-legged race and stuff like that. I don't know if kids still do that anymore or not.
That was so fun.
The field day.
But there's
Yeah.
are there like weird things that the kids do, like eating peanut butter off of feet that happen at Flag Day or Field Day or any of these
We're
things?
not eating no peanut butter off of feet due to the spread of germs. Like this apple bob. It just we're not doing that.
Okay, so no apple bobbing or anything like that. Yeah,
not
because
licking toes.
yeah, there's just I remember there were some questionable events looking back at my childhood when you would have these fundraisers or what you would do at these field days where it's like, that's a weird event. Like, why are we attached to this person? Or if the person next to you was really, really sick or something like that, you would have to deal with that nonsense there too. So it's a weird thing that happens. But it sounds like overall with this case, it came from an innocent place, right?
Yes, it was innocent. It wasn't supposed to be like
it wasn't
abuse
it
or
wasn't
anything
supposed to be
that.
like, oh yeah, these kids are doing this
okay.
because they
No.
want
But
to.
somebody should have said, before any kids licked any feet, let's slow down, and maybe this isn't the best idea.
Yeah, and maybe they didn't think like that because these are first of all, this is a high school. Okay.
Okay. So in that, you know what? This is something we talked about last week, George, during producers picks. We need to declassify what a kid is. Like, we need to come up with, I know that we already have the term preteen, teenager, and kid, right? Because I feel like a kid is somebody that's like 5 to 9, right? 5 to 9 years old. Then you get into, then you got 9 to 11. We don't really know what that category is. And preteen is 11 until what, 12?
No, preteen is changed. It's 10, 11, 12.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, that
10
helps.
now for a preteen.
10, 11, 12.
So really, it's in this case for this story, the headline should read, instead of kids, it should be preteens and teenagers end up eating peanut butter off the toes of other teenagers, right? That's how it should
the
technically read.
specific grades, the students are the 9th and 12th grade.
Yeah. Okay. So so you're talking preteens and teenagers that are doing that.
That-
Doesn't make
yeah.
it right. I'm not
No.
here to say that I agree with this kind of practice. I'm not here to say that it is acceptable in any circumstance here. But there is a difference between a little 4-year-old that's doing that and a 17-year-old or a 16-year-old
yeah.
that's doing something like that. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference. And I feel like with a lot of news writing that's happening now, whether it's being done by AI or not, I don't know, but they just use these terms very loosely. They're like, oh, it's a kid. Oh, and so immediately in my head, I picture a young child that's out there that's doing something like that.
But
So
I
it
can
does-
just kind of counter that, though, right?
Well, it is
think
your
when you
story,
think- if
so
you
go
just
ahead.
kind of look from the lens of just maybe the average person. I think a kid is just somebody who's going to be under 18. Like you're still have
No,
to
that's
be.
too broad,
I
Randy.
mean, but to me, I feel like, that's how I feel like most people look at it. Oh, high school.
You don't look at a
they're kids.
17-year-old and a 6-year-old the same way. You don't. There's
But
no
I
way.
feel like generalizing when people say kids, that's that full range and installed group because they're just not adults.
But you can't, though. You can't look at a 6-year-old and a 17-year-old in the same way. Like, even I know as a 35-year-old now, Like there are major differences between even a 12-year-old and a 7-year-old that you the way you talk to them, the way you converse with them, the intelligence level of each of them. I mean, I've met some super smart 12-year-olds that like some adults when they talk to them, it's as if they're like 6 or something like that. You're like, look, that young person right there like knows what's going on. They know what you're thinking and they're putting on a little front in front of you because they think that you're the adult right there. The key is being able to talk with them and understand what level they're at, which is why you need those different classifications. But you've been trying to jump in here, George. Go ahead.
Well, I see what your point. In journalism, you can be more specific. You know, maybe you use a different word when you're talking about teenagers rather than little tiny kids. But nobody should be licking feet at school.
No, agree. I think universally, yeah, that's one thing we can definitely all agree on here on the Power. Although Tina, you've been awfully quiet. Are you a big peanut butter toe girl?
No, this
Just
story,
off your own toes. Right?
No, exactly. And I
Sound
love
like
a little,
a dumb Woody High event.
yeah. Ooh, love a
We
little
like that.
toe
Mike
peanut
B
butter.
with a shade right there. You know what? See, both Mike B and Tina both grew up in DeKalb County, so
That's
there's
right.
there's
DeKalb alone.
there
Right.
is a rivalry
There
on
it
the
is.
Power Pod, and
It
that's why this comes up every now and then. So.
That's fine. He
The-
likes to talk smack. That's fine.
Oh, okay. So that means Tina, you get your shot to shoot back at any point later on in the show here.
I like
Overall,
it.
here, I think universally here on the Power Pod, when it comes to eating peanut butter off of kids' feet, preteen, teenager, child, you name it, don't do it. We're
And
not.
Somebody should probably get fired for like even letting this happen. That's like pretty bad, right, guys? I mean,
Absolutely.
I don't know if it's to me that extreme. Somebody should get fired. There should be maybe some type of reprimand and just kind of
See, this
understand.
is where her
because
little.
look how much money was raised for a
maybe an
great
investigation
cause.
should be opened.
And it
at
was
the
it was
very least.
harmless. I don't think that-
George is onto something here. You got to watch out for Rando. When it comes to a Texas or Oklahoma story, immediately she likes to nuzzle it really closer. She's like, well, it's Oklahoma, so it's probably not that bad. Well, it's
Go back
Texas,
to
so
an
it's not
old
that bad.
podcast. She like exposing children, but go ahead.
Wait
That's
a
true.
minute, pause.
That is the truth right there.
Whoa.
Hey, the great thing about the Power Pod is we have an archive of over 300 episodes of this here show, so you feel free listen back. Randio has had some crazy-ish way back in the day. Good story to start this hour, though. Got us going over there. Tina,
Teach the children.
this is on you. Good luck to segue to the next story here.
Maybe the children will want to know the 13 books you should read in the month of March,
What?
Jared.
13. Okay, I
Yes.
could barely read a book in a year. What are you talking about?
Time.com released a list of 13 books that you should read in March. And would you like to hear some of the titles and authors?
How about 2 of them? Why do I need 13? Like, who reads 13 books in a month?
Some people do. They
A
have
lot
audio.
of intelligent people.
Yeah,
It doesn't mean you're
audiobooks.
intelligent. Like, just because you read more
I
doesn't
said
mean
a
you're
lot
more.
of intelligent people.
That does
Yeah.
not mean that just because you read more books does not mean that you're
I didn't-
more intelligent.
I didn't
Well,
say
what
that. I said
about-
a lot of intelligent people read the book.
What
Go
about
ahead.
the brilliant RuPaul? He has his book out. Okay.
What is he writing about? He didn't write it. Somebody else wrote it. He had a
Well,
little
it's called-
ghostwriter.
Wow.
It's his memoir.
That's what happened.
It's a memoir. It's called The House of Hidden Meanings.
Okay, yeah, it's a memoir. Exactly. He sat down
Growing
with
up-
somebody else and he told them and they
Can
wrote
I
it down.
tell you what it's about? Thank
Go
you.
ahead. Go ahead.
Growing up as a black
I'm
queer
fired up.
kid in San Diego on his journey to sobriety, to his marriage, and just living as a drag icon. Why would you not want to read that?
I mean, it's his story, but he didn't write it.
I'm
It's
gonna
not like
read-
it's
I'm gonna read it.
some ghostwriter wrote it. He sat down with somebody and he said, "Oh, here are the key points of my life," and then put it all together for him. Is there like a real author that sat down with their laptop at a Starbucks and was like, "Oh my gosh, I've got the best story that I want to tell, and I want to make sure that it comes out in March"? That's the book that I want to read there, Tina.
Oh,
Is there
man.
one of those in your list?
I don't know. There's another one called The Great Divide by Christina Enriquez. Which
Did you-
sounds lovely.
You picked that one because the person's named Christina. I see what you did
No,
there.
it actually showed up in my Goodreads because I actually read books, unlike you. So
Ooh,
I like to
wow.
read, and I actually have I've bookmarked a couple of these novels so that I
Oh,
can read
nice.
them.
Well, I
Do
am.
you think you can read a novel in 2.3 days?
Yeah, if I'm focused on
All
it.
right. Well, then you
That's-
can read 13 books in a month.
Yeah, that is nuts. When they put these stories out there, it's like the 17 good reads for April. I'm like, okay, like I'm lucky if I read a book in 2 months. Seriously,
That's
just because of
sad.
well,
How,
it's not
how
just
long
because
is
that
your book?
because of what I do here on WGAU and what I do for WSB in Atlanta. I have to read all the time, but in a different
Yeah.
format. It's reading different
Reading on a
news,
screen sucks.
different news articles. Yeah, I agree. I love the actual
I
feeling
do
of a book.
too.
You know what else I've grown to really like? You're going to judge me for this. I like an actual newspaper now too. Like I like the feel of it as I'm going through there. I used to, when I first started producing for an old radio station back in Atlanta, WGST, we used to actually clip newspaper articles out of the AJC and put them in a little book, and then see if we could find them online later that night.
Wow.
So like I remember that. It now, like, there's a nostalgia feeling to it, and I kind of
Yeah.
like it. So I'm with you. I don't like reading off the screen all the time. I like the convenience of the screen, but overall though, like, there's something special about having a book with you, and you're like, oh yeah, here I am. I'm reading.
I just think
I prefer audiobooks.
Oh, okay. You like the audio?
Yeah, like where I can still kind of multitask and just kind of listen, like a podcast.
Yeah.
Sort of didn't read it though, right? When you just listened to it, sort of
Yes.
cheated.
Call him out, George. Call him out. I
You're
love it.
listening to the
I like
story.
it to be
yeah.
narrated for me. Thank you.
Oh yeah, exactly.
The audiobook, the only thing I have against that is I've tried to listen to several audiobooks and I couldn't get into the reader, the
Oh, yeah.
person narrating
haven't
the story.
found
I hate that you can't go back real quick and like check
Yeah.
back 2 pages and then go back and like
Yeah.
that's my problem with audiobooks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And again, it is kind of like copping out a little bit because you're going there and you're like,
Okay,
oh yeah.
shoot me down already.
Yeah, you know what? So how many
Randy,
how many audiobooks do you listen to in a month, Randio?
She listens to double
just maybe
speed.
like one every 2 months.
Okay, the Drake album does not count as an audio
Oh,
book.
homeboy.
What is the next story there, Mike B? Save us, Mike. There's no
will.
way you should read 13 books in a month. That's not realistic. Go ahead there, Mike.
Well,
B.
let's be nice. This past week was Read Across America week.
Sure
We're not gonna do that.
was.
We do
You.
celebrate.
We
that in
encourage
March.
reading.
Are you
Yeah.
sure?
We encourage reading. We just don't encourage 13 books in a month. You
Just
want to
no
actually
fast reading.
we want to retain the information that we're actually reading.
That is true. Gen Zers. This is from the New York Post. You know I can't stand them. Gen Zers are they face
The New York
blind-
Post or Gen Zers?
I love
Oh.
the New York Post. It's the Gen Z. I can't stand them. This article is talking about they're facing a blindness epidemic due to the lack of sunlight from staring at their phone, and I totally agree.
See, this is pretty funny right here. We
What?
mentioned, Tina brought the screen time here. It all ties
Mhm.
together, right? The Gen Zers are not getting outside enough.
They're not.
I make
Don't
it a
go to
point,
work.
and I've been judged, but I think even Mike, you judged me a little bit for this last week. Even as difficult as my schedule can be, I always say that no matter what, I'm going to get outside for at least 30 minutes
That's right.
because you got to find a way to do it. It's just good for you. It's good for your mental well-being, and you got to get away from the screen for a little while.
Mhm.
But I feel like even talking, my younger brother is a Gen Zer, and I have a younger sister that's a Gen Zer, and they don't get outside at all. And I'm like, what is wrong with you guys? Get outside. It's good for you.
That's right.
Breathe in the fresh air. Ride
Yeah.
a bike. Go for a little walk. There's not so many different things. You good there, George?
Yeah, jacket brushed up against the mic there. Sorry about that.
I didn't realize
That
I
was
set you
kinda
off.
cool. I,
I-
thought it was like a like sounded like a track.
I thought I set him
Just
off over
practicing
there.
my DJ skills.
yeah.
I thought he was about to walk out on us for a second. I'm like,
Oh,
you know what? When it comes to Gen Z and screens, that's where I draw the line,
Yeah,
Jared.
I'm trying to get
Gilliman.
some outside right now.
Yeah, I want to make sure I get out of this freaking dark studio so that way
Going blind.
I could get some bright light in my life. No, it's a real problem, and they'll figure it out. I think over time, as you get older, you figure out what your body needs and what it doesn't need, and they'll come around eventually. But what is your vendetta with Gen Z, Mike B?
Yeah,
Well,
Mike
come on,
B.
what you can't even bring up
Come
one
on.
positive story about them. It always seems like your stories are very pointed at Gen Z.
There's nothing positive. What are we talking about? They
Come on.
complain about everything. It's election season. They complain about that. Just go vote or don't go at all. Be quiet.
Okay.
Okay.
All
we
right.
Go, we go to work. Okay.
Just shut up
Millennials are
and
going
sit
to work,
down.
raising these children. Just shut it up. Sick of it.
All right. Yeah. So one thing again, I want to make sure it's very clear here on the Power Pod. Our buddy Mike B, he has. I think he has his normal bin of stories, and then he has a Gen Z bin.
I do.
And then I think he switches back and forth. He's like, you know what? I've not been too soft on the Gen Zers this week, which is why I had to bring it up here. I do like the story though, and I think the message overall is pretty consistent with Tina's message. If you're looking at the screen for too long and you're going nearsighted because of it,
Mhm.
stop looking at the dang screen. Read an actual book, read an actual newspaper, and get your little butt outside so that way you freaking are able to maintain a healthy lifestyle. It's not that difficult. You can find time for it. Maybe take 20 minutes less than you be on TikTok and go outside
Mhm.
and enjoy the birds chirping. You
It
might
needs
get
to
some.
shut down. Didn't the Meta shut down this week for like some time?
It sure did earlier
Shut
this
it
week.
down.
It
Which
shut it
I
down.
honestly, I was happy about it. Like I got logged out of everything. I use Meta so much for the business purpose of things.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, it's so nice to be able to break away from it for a while. But that's a very personal Jared story there. What?
Oh, wow. Thank you for telling us that.
You are so
That
welcome,
was
Tina.
so enlightening.
Brave,
And
right?
brave.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
You're so brave.
You know what? I feel brave enough to ask George for the next story. Go ahead,
Oh.
George.
I've got a story here. It's a little strange. A along the lines of Randy's last story, Kentucky Dem suggests child sex dolls could protect kids from pedophiles. It gives them a release.
Yeah, this is pretty nuts. This is Senator Karen Berg. And it just shows you we have some morons in politics right now.
Oh my
Like
Well-
when you look at the presidential election, for example, again, Biden and Trump. Here we go again. That's the best we could do, America. And then you have this senator again, State Senator Karen Berg of Kentucky. This is what she said.
And the limited amount of research that's done on these dolls, guys, suggests that they actually, for people who are attracted to minors, that these dolls actually decrease their proclivity to go out and attack children.
Okay, so when she said minors, obviously she was referring to young kids, not the actual people that are like in the mines,
Yes, that's correct.
going to
Jared.
get coal and stuff, because that can be confused there. I just want to make sure that everybody understands.
Child sex dolls will not protect minors.
Yes, yes, it will not. We'll talk more about that story because, of course, we're out of time here on the Power Pod when we come back.
All right.
All right. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Tanner, what's up, buddy? Yeah, we are the non-Von Hesslers. That's right. This is the Power Pod right here. We're taping a little bit earlier this week. No lady, what's going on? Good to see you again. We haven't seen you in a long time. I know I've been logged into the super secret chat on Von Hessler in a while, so I will see if you're ever in there. Chip, of course, man. Good to see you as always. Hey, and you made the change. You're always there with us on Thursday, man. It's great to have you here. And Michael Baxter, good to have you, buddy. Thanks for hanging out with us. This is the Power Pod, and we are taping a couple segments for our WGAU radio show that will air this Sunday from 10 to noon. So we'll give everybody one more segment. George, what do you think?
Exactly. Let's do it.
Is that okay, radio?
Sure.
Tina, is that okay with you?
I guess.
Oh, Mike B, is that okay with you?
That is terrible. Give the people a segment.
Yeah, they just
Gotta think about it.
Whatever.
they deserve to freaking know. They deserve to freaking know. So we'll talk more about this this crazy story that George brought up, and then maybe get to one of Randy's stories. And I believe it's segment number 835
Let's go.
Of the-
Oh,
of the
Oh.
Power Pod.
3, 2, 1. Covering all the stories from this past week. This is the Power Pod on WGAU with our host, Jared Yamamoto.
And one thing I love here on the Power Pod is that our fans are awesome. Like whether we're here on Sunday mornings on WGAU or if you're commenting throughout the week, we have our Instagram page and our Facebook page, and people are just awesome. I see like good diehard fans like Chip, Tanner, and Noel Lady and Michael all saying how much they're loving the show today. I feel like we've been a little bit funny just because with the time change, springing forward and everything like that. I figured it might put us in a different state of mind, but it hasn't. We've actually been quite productive, and there's been a couple of themes that have been brewing throughout today's show. One being that there is, again, a war against Gen Z, a war against screens, a war against reading, and also a lot of minor talk going on.
Yes.
With the story that Randy O brought up talking about minors eating peanut butter off the feet of other minors. And then now, George Clark, what's this story?
Yeah,
again that
we've
you're
got Kentucky Dem suggests child sex dolls could protect kids from pedophiles.
So listen to this again here. This is Senator Karen Berg of Kentucky.
And the limited amount of research that's done on these dolls, guys, suggests that they actually, for people who are attracted to minors, that these dolls actually decrease their proclivity to go out and attack children.
And there might be a little bit of truth to that, but I'm not here to endorse that idea at all.
It sounds a little freaky. You would prefer complete rehabilitation rather than like replacement with a doll. You would want these people to just not have that desire and at all. Or
Absolutely.
yeah. So I mean, I get her point. If it was saved one child from something horrible happening to them, then okay, maybe the dolls do something, but it's hopefully a temporary fix, and the full rehabilitation of a person is what we're really striving for, right?
Yes, absolutely. That's what we're definitely striving for. And I hope that this Senator Karen Berg does not move to Oklahoma, because she would definitely be the one to get people involved with the the peanut butter feet and everything like that was involved over there. Like there's some weirdos out there in America, folks. That's what it comes down. I see Mike. You see over here. There's just some weirdos out there, and I don't envy what you have to deal with because you're raising their freaking children, or you're helping raise their children out there. So I can't imagine what you have to deal with. But yes, Radio, you had something to say.
No, I was just kind of thinking about, like, George is just so expressive sometimes when he's getting his point across, and it was just passion behind it, so it made me chuckle. But at the same time, when I think about this situation, it is really like sick. However, when you think about it, you said do rehabilitation, right? But what about the situations where maybe that's not working? And I mean, it's kind of creepy, but then it's like, we're trying to create solutions. What else can we do to help these people that has this addiction that they can't break?
So are you pro doll or anti doll then?
I think it's weird. So I'm indifferent.
You can't be indifferent.
I
You have
Pro
can't.
to.
solutions. We want the right solutions, and if the doll is, helps, is a
Yes.
bridge between the time you need to fully get rid of your desires,
There you go.
then we support.
Yeah,
you,
because
I
there's just some
suppose.
sick
Yes.
individuals out there. Yeah, I mean, I know we're laughing about something. I'm not trying to,
No.
be frivolous
No.
about something that's a very serious issue. But the truth is that at least with the state senator, she is trying to present an idea out there. But there are other ways to bridge that gap, I would say, than providing somebody a doll during that circumstance. Good story there. We'll come back with even more stories here on the Power Pod. All right. Thank you guys again for hanging out with us here on the Power Pod. This show is going to air all the way on Sunday, March 10th. So you guys got a cool got a very, very cool glimpse into what this is going to sound like ahead of time. I'm actually traveling on Friday. So this works out very very nicely. I appreciate everybody for working it out to make it happen. So you'll be able to get this episode a little bit earlier. In fact, I might drop it on Thursday this week. Usually it's a Friday podcast, but I might drop it on Thursday this week. So we have a little bit more to tape. In fact, one more segment that we have to tape. And is there any more housekeeping?
Tell the people where you're going.
Yeah.
Come on, they've got to know now. You can't tease
I'm
them.
going to France.
Whoa.
France.
Whoa.
Like that.
Wow.
France.
Where in France are you going? Paris.
Paris. Yeah.
Very
Betty?
nice.
Paris, yeah.
Look for Jared at the tower.
Very nice.
Yes,
Any-
that's
is there a particular event you're going for?
No, just going out there. Just so I've got a couple of buddies that are
Have
that
you
are.
been to Paris before?
I have. I went there with my lovely wife.
Oh yes, of
Oh.
course.
So I'm excited
Had
to
a
go out there.
blast.
Ooh, so now it's the boys' trip.
That's
Yeah,
right. The
definitely.
bros.
Bye. See you on
In
Sunday.
Gay Paris, as they say.
Love you.
Yeah, that's right.
Just,
Oh,
just giving you some shit. We're not recording this part.
That's right. Hey, this is what makes it great here. You
It's
know
gonna
what?
be all over social.
People get to enjoy it
J'adore Paris.
one
Run with
way.
it, Chip. Run with it.
one way or another. Thank you guys again for hanging out with us. Again, you can grab our latest episode of the Power Pod. What is that episode called? I forgot what it was called. Let me pull it up here real
Something
quick.
bros.
Oh, Brocast. That's right.
Brocast.
Yes, so that's available right now wherever you get your podcasts. Again, right here. And I don't do this enough too, but I'll make sure to go on and hit it while I've got everybody on the live here. Make sure to get Randy and Mike B's great podcast, Black, Educated, and Broke, available wherever you get your podcast. New episode dropping this Thursday, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you'll have that available on Thursday as well as this episode. And my nightcap, I actually dropped a new episode yesterday. It's called Honesty. So you can grab that and all the pod catchers out there. And I believe Nicole has got a new Beyond Criminal Headlines podcast as well. Tina, you still workshopping your podcast?
I'm still working on it.
Okay, so once Tina comes up with her podcast, it'll be available. We'll let you
TikTok.
we'll let you guys. Yes, you can follow her on TikTok.
That's
We'll
right.
we'll let you guys
Thank
know.
you, Mike B, with the plug.
We'll let you guys know exactly where that is. Thanks again for hanging out with us. We'll be back very, very soon. Bye bye.